Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the fact that to some degree we have liftoff. Bitcoin has crossed through 15K. I think the time of making this video, it's slightly back down to 14.9. What's a few $100s among friends? But one of the interesting things is that the price of Bitcoin has exited our regression band. So if you guys follow the channel, you know we have this fair value regression band that we've been using to as an approximate in terms of accumulating Bitcoin. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, help me get to 50,000 subscribers, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. So if you're completely new to this channel, we essentially have this logarithmic regression band that's fit to non-bubble data. And what it does is it allows us to identify, ranges of theoretical reaccumulation. And we had one back in 2011, in 2012, and 2015 through early 2017. We entered it in late 2018 and 2019. We exited it here. And then since end of 2019, we were essentially in it for the last year. And we've just poked above this value, the upper part of the reaccumulation band. Okay, so the upper part of it is just over $15,000, and as many of you know, Bitcoin went to around 15.3 to 15.4, or in that ballpark a little while ago. If it's and then the same thing, right? We also have the upper regression band as well, which is fit to the peaks, and hopefully this is going to help us identify when the next blow off top comes. Because, one of the things you can see, of course, is that these regression lines are coming closer together. And this makes sense because, as we've shown before, Bitcoin volatility on an annualized basis is reducing. And therefore, we would expect, the peaks to be less fantastic, but also, to hone in into what ultimately the fair value of Bitcoin will be. You can see that, by the year 2024, the fair value is probably going to be somewhere around $40,000 to $50,000. And so generally speaking, if we're exiting this, right, and I've said this before, once we get above this regime and we're in this area up here, a lot of people are going to look back and wish they had bought more Bitcoin when we're down here. Now, with that said, we have to recognize as well that it's always good to be cautiously optimistic. The price of Bitcoin does trend upwards over time. I mean, you can see that quite clearly. We have bubble and then blow off phase, and then a bubble and then a bear market, and then a bubble and then a bear market, and we're looking for the next bubble. Now, the interesting thing about this market cycle is that we did have an intermediate bubble right here, which is similar to this cycle. You can see that's also similar is that after coming out of this the regression band, we went back into it and then came out again and then went back into it again. So far, we came down into it, back out of it, back into it. If we come out, I still think there's a good chance we're going to come back into it before we ultimately go to the upper regression band, okay? Now, some of you might be wondering, well, are you sure we've exited it? If we zoom in a little bit, if you really squint, you can see we just left it. Another way to look at this is to just look at the regression prices of Bitcoin with a lot of different bands and recognizing that, last market cycle, we essentially rode this orange line. We were between the orange line and the yellow line for a couple years. And we anticipated that we would spend a lot of time either between the yellow and orange band or the orange and blue band. And we actually went to the orange and blue band back in March. Okay, you can see that here. But in the same manner, we are following the same general uptrend. Okay, same general uptrend. And you can see that we've been between the yellow and orange band for the most part since the end of 2018. We went slightly up one more band in 2019 when we had that bubble. But despite the fact that the current price is higher than it was in 2019, we're actually one band down, and it's because the fair value is monotonically increasing. Therefore, Bitcoin has to maintain its slow increase up, its slow move up, otherwise it will fall down in regression bands. And if we were to reach the same level of a bubble that we reached in 2019, but we reached it today, you can see that it would be substantially higher, in fact. This dashed line would be 20K. So in fact, for Bitcoin to reach bubble territory that's as overvalued from, say, the fair value, it would need to go up above its prior all-time high. In fact, if we were to have a bubble that was similar to this one. Okay, so of course, at the end of the day, we all want to know, right, is Bitcoin going to get to 20K and continue on up? Or are we going to have a retracement either before then or at 20K, and then it's going to take a while to get back to that point? Because remember, it's easy to get swept away in the fact that you think it's going to go up to 100K in the short term. Remember, though, in 2019, we also had a pretty spectacular bubble. The price of Bitcoin rallied from 3,100 to 14,000 in just a few months, and then we still came back down. So we're getting later into the cycle, right? It's almost 2021. I do think that 2021 generally will be a pretty decent year for Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to end 2021 at less than $10,000 or anything. I think that by the end of 2021, we should, there's a good chance we will be at a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin. We could be there before then, right? I'm just saying that my thinking here is that in order to get to a sustainable 20K, it will take a little bit longer. And it's really not that far from now. I mean, if you think about it, the first quarter of 2021 at the earliest would be another 11 months, which would not be that unheard of. And so we're just going to continue to follow the price here. If we go into full on bubble mode and continue to move up, just remember that a lot of bubbles are short lived, and even in bull markets, you'll have 20 to 40% retracements back to the 20-week moving average. Now, the 20-week moving average is currently at approximately $11,000. In the next week or so, it should hit a new all-time high. The all-time high of the 20-week moving average is approximately 11.2 to 11.3, depending on what exchange you use. So the 20-week moving average should hit a new all-time high within about a week. Okay. Now we're gonna segue. Now, the first thing I just want to briefly talk about is if you do like the content and you want access to more content, we do have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. You get access to weekly reports, weekly videos, the risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade. So if you're wondering, okay, I have Bitcoin, I want to identify, what stage of the bubble it's in, and set dynamic DCA cells. This is what I talk about a lot and we use the risk dashboard. And we also have the private Telegram alerts channel, where I alert people to my thoughts on the market. And we have a private Telegram chat room. So check it out if you guys find it interesting. You can even pay for 12-month membership with crypto and get a 15% discount. So I'd encourage you to check it out if it's something you're interested in. And if you want a little bit more help in trying to identify phases of the market and whether we're in a bubble or whether we're not in a bubble. We also, if we just look over at TradingView, you can see that the price here is 14.1. It's because this is the BLX, and it only shows closing prices. If you look at a current price, we're at 14.9. And if we zoom in, you can see that we briefly left this regression band. And we said this all along, that this will happen at some point, and that the smart money is buying Bitcoin, in this regime, right? In this regime. This is where the smart money is buying Bitcoin. And this is not financial advice, but just looking at it like regularly buying Bitcoin up to a certain level, whether it's based on the risk level, which is what I use and is on the premium list, or if it's, say, some other metric that you're using, it's important to have a strategy, because if you don't have a strategy, then what might happen at some point is we could get a major bubble where it exits the regression band and then just goes crazy for a year. And if you don't have a strategy, then you might watch things like this come and go without taking advantage of it. And the whole idea, if you're here, is I imagine you want to take advantage of these bubbles in the crypto market, because if something's going up rather quickly, it most likely will come back down to earth at some point. And you can see that we've had these trends for a while now. So if we continue on, whenever we do reach the upper regression band, it should help us identify the fact that the writing's on the wall in terms of the blow off top is likely coming to an end. For now, as I've said before, we're largely playing in the sandbox, right? This has not changed. Bitcoin is not even at its prior all-time high yet. So if you're more of a long-term person, you probably don't even care about this. But just recognize that if you see the price of Bitcoin rallying up here or something in the short term, we're in bubble territory. We're definitively in bubble territory. We've already entered it. I mean, you can see that we've already entered it recently. So if it were to continue to rally, then we most assuredly would be, you would find yourself in a bubble, and then you're going to have to decide whether you take profits along the way. Do you want to be more conservative with your investment? Do you want to be more risky? And again, this is you have to tailor it to yourself. No one can tell you where you should buy or sell, because ultimately speaking, it depends on what your risk tolerance is. You know, do you want to risk the majority of your portfolio on the chance that Bitcoin goes to, you know, a certain value that's 10% higher than where it actually goes? And this is why I talk about dynamically DCAing. So if you guys want to check it out, the premium list, intothecryptoverse.com. We have a lot of people on there. The main things we talk about are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and ADA, as well as a few other coins. So if you guys want a community to be a part of during the market cycle, I would encourage you to sign up. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. I hope you guys enjoyed the show on the regression analysis, recognizing that this is a key milestone for us, because at least for a brief moment in time, the price of Bitcoin exited this regression band that we've been following for a long time now. Okay, we've been following this for a while, and I know I sounded like a broken record at some point saying, like, you know, this is, you know, smart money is accumulating Bitcoin, smart money is accumulating Bitcoin. Once you get up here, smart money is no longer accumulating Bitcoin. This would be dumb money, in my opinion, and dumb money can get lucky sometimes and you know, buy Bitcoin up here and then sell it up here. But again, if this was dumb money coming into the market as well. Okay, so just recognize where we are within the market cycle. Don't FOMO into anything. Remember, it's always better to have a position and wait for the pump to happen rather than chase a pump. Because if you chase a pump, you're already coming into it from a bad perspective. Because if, let's say you bought at 15.3 and then you watch it pull back, it might be hard to see that happen. So I would again encourage people to say, you know, invest responsibly. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. But at the same time, don't, you know, it's not typically wise to go chasing pumps in anything. If you want to gamble, that's fine, right? But I mean, you don't need crypto to do that. For this channel, the main purpose is to identify momentum shifts in the market and make your entry into the market as least risky as possible. And then when the market risk is incredibly high and everything's just going insane, you're just dynamically DCAing your sells in the same way that you DCA your buys. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We also have the Telegram channel in the description below, as well as the premium list if you guys want access to more exclusive content. That'll wrap it up for the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.